In November of 2023, I think I've only talked about this publicly once. There was a young girl in Gaza who spoke. I have not seen her, and I could barely think of her because I assume she's been killed. I haven't seen her since. And she spoke really good English. This is so terrible. She did a video, and we weren't even calling it a genocide yet. It had only been going on for like 3.5, 4 weeks. And people in Gaza and Muslims around the world were just happy that I, Sean King, cared. And she did a video, the sweetest video. And it was 30 seconds. And she is saying in the video that she thought it was going to all end soon because now I'm involved. And when I first saw that video, I knew even then that me being involved wasn't about to end it. But I thought, how sweet that this girl thinks I could make that much of a difference. I was in my bed one day. My family and I, we spent the entire summer in Istanbul, and we signed up for an Arabic immersion program. We had our teachers were Syrian and Egyptian. We brought our whole family.
Did Bassem put you on?
Yes. And
very close to Bassem.
And I saw a video. I was in the bed one day. It was late at night. It was before I had recorded this video. And I opened up my phone, and you know, sometimes on your phone, it defaults to a video or to a post. And I opened it, and it was of a girl. It was not the girl who made this video. It was of a girl, and she was still alive. And I kid you not, she was split almost completely in half. And I don't think my wife had seen me physically cry in like 25 years. And I saw the video, and I thought, okay, like, what am I seeing? What am I seeing? And her face is just like split down the middle. And I was just thinking, like, it was one of the first times I thought, I hope she dies soon. Like,
she's still alive.
Yeah, in this moment, she's alive. And I was just thinking, like, oh God, she doesn't need to be alive. And I was thinking, what are the brothers who are in the room with her? What are they thinking? And, you know, I went back to the masjid and I visited there many times. And there's so many beautiful stories I could tell you. You know, the Prophet, peace be upon him, he told his companions almost 400 plus years before Muslims took over Constantinople and made it into what it is even today, he said that this would happen. And one of a group of his companions, peace be upon him, a group of his companions traveled to Istanbul to free it. And one of them was Abu Ayyub Ansari, whose home was welcomed. This was the first home that the Prophet, peace be upon him, lived in Medina. And Abu Ayyub is buried in Istanbul today. And so I went to the masjid, and I had probably just heard this hadith for a month. And I had memorized the hadith where the Prophet, peace be upon him, says, when you see injustice, confront it with your hands. And if that fails, use your tongue. And if that fails, hate it in your heart, which is, and people often end the hadith there, but the Prophet, peace be upon him, then said, which is the weakest of the three, your heart. And it occurred to me that as Muslims worldwide, we are living that hadith, but backwards. Yeah. In essence, on a really good day, maybe, just maybe, we'll see injustice and hate it in our heart. The Prophet, peace be upon him, did not say, when you see injustice, hate it in your heart. He said, when you see injustice, and he gave an order. He said, hate it. Yes. He said, first confront it with your hands. And then, and I love this, the Prophet, peace be upon him, didn't even require success of us. It almost seems as if he thought we would fail. And if you fail, then use your words. Well, we start with our heart, and then maybe on an excellent day, we use our tongues. And 99.9% of us act as if we have no hands to even use. We're almost none of. In fact, I would suggest Alex Preddy was doing better with his hands, confronting injustice with his physical body. Mm-hmm. He was doing more with his hands than 99% of Muslims in the world.
SubhanAllah.
And so when I was at the masjid, listen, it was that hadith and it was another hadith, and it wrecked me. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, this is in the final, this is during Hajj, and they're in the shadows of the Kaaba, and companions are gathered around him, peace be upon him, and he said to them something so peculiar that confused them. There were about 250,000 Muslims at the time, and they had not lost a battle in a decade. They were virtually unbeatable at this point. Gathered around the Prophet, peace be upon him, are some of the greatest people who ever walked this earth. And he said to them that there will be a time where the enemies of Muslims will dine on us like we are food at the table. And I had the first question that someone, the hadith doesn't say who asked this, but someone said, "O Prophet, will we be so small in number? Like, will there be so few Muslims? Like, how is it possible that we will be dined on like we are food at the table? There must not be many Muslims." The Prophet, peace be upon him, says something, and it occurred to me that whether he was speaking about us or not, it applies to us. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, no, in fact, there will be more Muslims than you can count. Me and some others, you could look it up on Google or do the math yourself. It would take almost 80 years to count to 2 billion. There are 2 billion of us right now, Muslims. It's a number too big to count. A 4-year-old could start and they could count every single second of their life until they were a senior citizen, and they still wouldn't count it. Mm-hmm. And by that time, there would be more of us. He said, no, it's not the number. The Prophet, peace be upon him, he said, there will be wahan in their heart. And again, I was a new Muslim, and I was like, well, what is wahan? And sure enough, we don't know who asked it, but someone was like, "Oh, Prophet, what is wahan?" I didn't even know how to pronounce it, so I was like wan, what is wan? And like in the video, I might have said wan, and somebody said, "What is wahan?" And he said, "It is a love of." He said the Muslims will love this earth, this planet, this life so much, and they will fear death so much, and our enemies will see how much we love this life and how much we fear death, and they will have no fear of us. Mm-hmm. And then the Prophet of Allah, peace be upon him, said to them something that just wrecked me. He said, the Muslims will be like foam on the ocean. And no one asked a question. I think it stung them. They asked 2 questions before and they just shut up. And I thought, I was like, foam on the ocean. I've been in the ocean many times. I'm in California right now as we record this. I was in Istanbul, close to the ocean. Ocean foam is nothing. It's a nuisance. In fact, when you're in the ocean and the foam comes to you, you just get your hand and you brush it away. It irritates you. A baby could brush the foam away. And I was on the floor of this masjid, and I was thinking about 2 girls. I have a house full of girls and women. In my house, there are 13 of us, and 11 of them are girls and women. And I was thinking of that girl who said, we're going to be okay. Sean King is going to help us. And I was thinking of this girl whose face and part of her torso had just been split in half. And I thought, our Prophet, peace be upon him, told us to use our hands, and we were refusing. and said we would be about as useful as ocean foam. And I was just on the floor of this masjid that brave Muslims for 400 years attempted to open this city to Muslims and were willing to die doing it. The people that even gave their lives for us to even be in what we call Palestine today, and that we can't lift a finger. I felt when I was on the floor of that, I stand by all of it. You know, I'm deeply, I say this, I'll say this with anyone, I would argue it. Our response, yes, the genocide is not primarily orchestrated by Muslims, but there are many Muslims that have supported it, defended it, including all of the neighbors that surround it and could have stopped it in a week or a month. But that a tiny nation has fewer people than LA County, including every Palestinian in that land, Los Angeles County is bigger. That the entire Ummah has basically been defeated by LA County is an embarrassment. I don't care what anyone